but we're going to have to wait, get into the game, and definitely excited for this one to start out because the bans are already coming through, and we went over a couple for Cloud9, but I also want to throw in there some for SKT, right? Wolf on the Lulu. He played so much Lulu. It has not yet found its way onto the ban phase, but yeah, that for him in summer was incredibly big. And if we are talking about Faker, you know, Cassiopeia definitely had a lot of success for him this summer as well.
Rakan banned out those engaged supports that can also use the Ardent Sensor. Of course, don't want to give anybody that opportunity. Sejuani taken away as well. Hallmark, Tank, Jungler, Kalista, and Galio rounding out the bans thus far, but leaves us with a lot of interesting first pick potential.
Yeah, it certainly does. Of course, Tristana is the next in line, it seems to be, with AD carries when Kalista has been removed. But with the Lulu that you mentioned, champions like Kog'Maw is going to be a prevalent feature. Champions like Varus can also go quite well with Lulu to have that excess lane control if that's the goal of your team in draft.
And of course, Varus has been rising in priority across this first day. Not a pick that we saw a whole ton of coming into this tournament. Playing stage popularize it, and we're seeing a lot larger regions pick it up as well.
And it seems like SKT are pretty comfortable and very happy with their late game and playing into Ardent Sensor and winning 5-on-5s later and playing around objectives. Yeah. So they ban out some early playmaking supports, attacking smoothly there and attacking some of the mobility here. The Galio that you talked about, Jensen showed in mid lane, Impact displayed at top lane. So it looks like SKT are trying to take out any of those kind of surprise cards or big playmaking champions, and just try and grind it down to standard.
And we heard it from the desk. So often, if you want to beat a Korean team, well, maybe you can find those leads in the laning phase, but much harder to actually bring it home when it comes to macro. But Cloud9, they're packing some late game punch here already with their first 2 picks.
Yeah, I actually do like that they are taking this away from Lulu, mentioned there for Wolf, and combining that with Tristana definitely has seen success.
Makes it harder to pick something like a Twitch as the AD carry. Usually means the Kog'Maw is the expected. So once again, when we look at the first 3 champions from SKT, they make a lot of sense. Not surprised from Cloud9. When you mentioned Cassiopeia, I had a feeling that this may be the new age Cassiopeia, especially for someone like Faker.
And Jensen, of course, in the plans, one of the first to bring out the Rise, if not the first. The Abyssal Mask rising to popularity, pretty effective against the Kog'Maw as well. Probably comfortable to pick that champion up, now free to ban away any matchups that he finds unfavorable.
Yeah, Rise has an interesting time here because with the Kog'Maw, you need to work around the window of that W cooldown. And when it is up, Rise has a very little way into the Kog'Maw to try and close that distance and actually get his damage off, because the drawbacks of Rise, while yes, he did get buffed and supremely popular champion now for the mid lane, still has to deal with those problems of the range and trying to get the combo off to try and bounce through people.
Yeah, right now it feels like the battle is going to be which hyper carry can get ahead early so that the team compositions can revolve around protecting that carry. If the Kog'Maw's ahead, then a champion like Cassiopeia does still make a fair amount of sense for Faker, but that could also be something like the Galio, which of course is unfortunately banned in this game. Same thing applies, they've got a plethora of mid lane options that are there just because of how the draft has gone so far.
It looks like Cloud9 are going to opt to hide their top laner as long as possible as they do lock in the Rek'Sai for contracts, one of those more aggressive junglers we've already talked about. SKT have the chance to fire back, figure out exactly where the Jarvan will go. Faker debating exactly what he wants to take into the matchup.
I guess the question alongside this pick, whatever Faker goes for, is the Jarvan going into the jungle, or is the Jarvan going towards the top lane? With Cho'Gath gone, Maokai obviously being one of the more prevalent options, Huni could pick that, take it away from Impact if he'd like, and round out their team composition very nicely.
Of course, Faker 7-1 on the Cassio as well, so definitely a terrifying pick in his hands. Not that any pick isn't. It is Faker, of course, and sadly for Huni, he loves to play those carries, but it's looking grim as the countdown ticks down that it might just be Maokai on the top side of the map serving the needs of the team and not himself.
Yeah, SK Telecom, as we said, it looked like they were just trying to boil this game down to a fairly standard, like meet up 5-on-5, go front line to front line. They've got incredible backline damage here with a Janna protecting them. And now with the Maokai, in addition to Jarvan, they have the engagement that they would want. And the tanky front line as well.
This is one of those moments where I was going to say that it's not expected or in the meta, but it's necessary for the team composition of Cloud9. I just didn't actually think it would happen. Chose not to say it. Nautilus is the lock-in for Impact, and when you look at the draft and how it's panned out, they need that Nautilus. There's a Rek'Sai in the jungle. The crowd control is honestly lacking, and they needed that second engage tool or complementary crowd control source to really round out their comp.
We got to see a tiny bit of resurgence for Nautilus in top lane in solo queue only during the Korean boot camp, in that Korean solo queue, but one of the big points from Nautilus is always the point and click ultimate. Put that sucker on Cassiopeia or on Kog'Maw, and that's the carry that they're going to dive on.
Banshee's Veil really the only answer, because by the time you cleanse it away, by the time you QSS Mikhail's, it doesn't matter. You're already knocked up and you could already be taken down. Guaranteed way to force the fight in a historic top lane tank matchup. Small buffs may have brought him to the table, but now as we gear up to very front-to-back comps, as you put it, Kobe, Reaver and Coma having a good time on stage, feeling good about their first match here at Worlds.
We love the history between the two teams, and those two guys specifically, definitely all coming together in this group as we are about to get on the Rift.
Well, if you believe in C9, hashtag C9 win. If you believe in Korean dominance, hashtag SKT win. We'll see if the West can find their first win here, what exactly they want to bring to the table.
Yeah, very big moment for both of these teams to see if Cloud9 can keep up with SKT, or if SKT have fully come into Worlds super prepared.
Here it is, folks, the 5th game of the day. SKT, representatives from the LCK, Cloud9, representatives of the NALCS. And we are poised for an explosive mid to late game. Team fighting compositions on both sides, but who can find the edge in the early game?
Yeah, and that early game is going to usually dictate the most of this. When you look at the draft specifically and how that dictates the most of the game, the 2 hyper carries is the place that you're always going to be looking towards. But it's not just the bottom lane that we have to discuss and look at. It's this middle lane that we're looking at right now. Jensen, usually the biggest win condition of Cloud9. Sneaky stepped up lately, but Jensen's always the rock of the team. You've got a Jarvan and a Rek'Sai, though, that might want to come towards that middle lane. Very good champions to gank the lane.
Definitely true. I mean, SKT brought Peanut here and Huni for a reason. They said it was a lot for experience for Huni, but Peanut, definitely a guy that is very willing to go aggressive early on. And we'll see if he does, play around Faker, play around the Cassiopeia in the mid lane, at least in the early stages.
Both junglers kind of feeling it out, seeing if they can get in, get a little bit of vision down, get something else. Right now, it's Contracts just trying to defend his jungle. Doesn't want anything to do with that Jarvan. Looks like it will be the leash coming in for Peanut in the early game, so we'll have a slight edge in terms of clear speed, at least for now.
And so far, of course, with the early pathing of both junglers, you'll see most of the pressure be around the bottom side of the map for Contracts, perhaps the top side of the map for Peanut, unless he chooses to be aggressive and engage. And because he has the duo lane going for him, the option's there for Peanut. It's just a super risky thing. However, Faker's going to make it a bit easier if he'd like.
Pushing forward already in the lane, playing so aggressive as the Cassio, not afraid to burn some mana, just put Jensen on the back foot. Level 2 will decide so much, however, when it comes to this matchup.
Faker always confident, definitely is on this champion as well, specifically likes to go for the harassment super early on. Chug that corrupting potion while you go for your trades. He gets the burn down. He tries to push them back through the minions, trying to deny it a little bit that way. Jensen does step up and get the rest of them there, but it looks like both junglers will just be going, for the level 3 clear on top side very quickly, as Peanut has made his way up there as well. Contracts just does the red quadrant clear, so he could come over, and at least use the passive to try and scout out Peanut.
Nautilus, of course, a champion with a lot of CC to set up the plays. Needs to land the dredge line, but if he can, might be enough to give him an edge in that tank matchup. Impact would be happy to take it.
Very conscious moves from Contracts here. He's super aware of what Peanut wanted to do on the Rift by going for those Krugs. Now has extra jungle to clear, and the distance between his jungle camps is significantly smaller. And so he'll have an experience lead if this continues to play out as it is.
Yeah, it's always nice to see the Rek'Sai Tremor Sense used in pro play there. A little bit of extra scouting early on definitely goes a long way. Now Contracts back to clearing the other half of his jungle, whereas Peanut has decided to take domination of the river. Both scuttlers taken by SKT to provide that extra amount of control.
Yeah, and it really makes it hard for a jungler to gank when both Scuttle Crabs are there. But Rek'Sai is one of those unique champions that can get over areas and walls that most junglers shouldn't be able to do. So there's always a world where Contracts can still get that gank off. It means the execution's really hard.
Thing is, none of those openings are around mid lane. Look at the wards in addition to the Scuttle Crabs. They literally cut off all the angles that Contracts would try and go mid for. So they're saying, yes, You know, Rek'Sai's tricky. You can try and weasel away in somewhere, but it's not going to be towards Faker.
And putting mid lane in that vacuum is terrifying, because while Jensen looked dominant in the NALCS, these guys have history against each other, and it is not a good look for Jensen.
Yeah, they only showed one part of their stats there before, which was the averages for the seasons. Now, if you actually match them up against each other, Faker definitely took first clap.
And that's the big thing, you know, play-ins, his CS difference was incredible, Jensen, and now he comes to the world stage. And the last time he did, Faker was able to give him a cheeky clapping, so hard task.
Definitely the case, and of course, you mentioned it earlier, Rusty, we haven't seen the full strength of Cloud9 quite yet. We don't feel like they've been 100% tested as showcasing their dominance across play-ins. And now what can they show us up against SKT? Because it's definitely a do-or-die kind of game in such a close group.
Super passive starts as well. The mid laners, namely not being active at level 2 for the Cassiopeia, means they're looking towards those tier purchases. And now one of them has got that. Jensen is going to be around and a little bit stronger in the current moment if junglers choose to interact.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit of an exciting interaction because everything else has been fairly calm and focused on defensive farming and cutting off pathways. But that was Peanuts having the confidence to go grab that plant because Rise had recalled. Now Contracts is getting a bit aggressive on him, trying to chase him back.
And the earlier experience advantage that we mentioned from Contracts through his pathing, through his clearing, has given him level 5 to 4 in advantage, something that does mean a lot.
Yep, Scuttlers do give vision, they do give control, they do give gold, but not a lot of experience, and they're kind of out of the way, so it delays your really efficient pathing through clearing out the jungle. Now Contracts goes for an invade. If you look at the mini-map, he's trying to chase Peanut off the Gromp even.
Trying to keep Peanut down, knows that he could be the playmaker here in the early game as the rest of the map is set for even back and forth lanes.
Impact was able to come down there from top line to provide that support, and Contracts does have Smite as well. Peanut, no vision, and he's gonna wait on that cooldown.
Gave it a crack. It wasn't quite the steal, but nonetheless, again, Impact goes from top lane, but the reason he does isn't because he has complete lane control. He chooses to sacrifice a bit of that lane control, maybe a CS here and there, to come and help his jungler to enable him.
Yep, Maokai not able to push that quickly early on to punish the roam, and Huni does get the wave up into the top turret here, but Contracts is going over a ward and should be quite safe there for Huni.
Good information, consistently good warding coming in from SKT in the early game. As much as Contracts is trying to shut down Peanut, it's the vision of SKT that is shutting down Contracts, stopping a lot of these more aggressive plays, the more creative pathing we've already mentioned. And now, while the bot lane may have been pushing early for C9, Bang getting a lot more comfortable here.
So now we need to take part 2, right? Contracts was seen on that ward. You give you another 30 seconds at the very minimum for a jungler to recall after being seen, then make his way back out onto the opposite side of the jungle. So that's why Peanut knows that he can go in and counter jungle Contracts blue quadrant and take away the corresponding Gromp.
Yeah, so clever stuff here from the jungler of SKT. Peanut still staying on the correct side of the map for where his duo is winning. And so ultimately, Peanut's decision is to hang around, try and find Contracts once again, or at least control this same quadrant so that Contracts can't come bottom, alleviate that pressure in any way.
And right now, the proactive early play of Contracts giving C9 a slight lead, slight CS advantage in the jungle. Of course, Bang and Wolf, they're printing money on the bottom side of the map. They've got the targets, they've got the coins, they're looking for that quick art, as has become the new standard for bottom lanes. But we're still going to have to wait to see them get it before we see any kind of aggressive plays here. Just a back and forth battle between each of these lanes. Looks like Jensen's not going to get all the attention that he wanted. And SKT have done a good job of slowing down the early game.
Yeah, they really have. Even having Boots of Lucidity for Jensen, just for the extra move speed. Of course, the cooldown reduction is nice, but that delays any kind of catalyst purchase if that's the direction he's going as Contracts. He has been spotted.
Greyseeker connects, tunnels forward, looking for the knockup, trying to find the chain CC. Huni could be in trouble. Knocks him back. Double knockback, so crucial.
Yeah, Impact is out of mana. Contracts also got chunked to half health, so they have to be very careful about a counter gank there. If Peanut was ready for that already, and he was in place a bit closer, that could have been disastrous for Cloud9. But they are going to cut off their aggression, pull it back after they see their gank has failed. It looks like we'll just have everybody recalling.
And it makes you feel like they chose to do it just to give Impact a recall. He has only got the Doran's ring. He hasn't gone back to shop yet. You contrast that to his opponent with the Catalyst, and that's a big reason as to why Huni didn't die. And a lot of that stems from why, going towards and helping your jungler costs you a bit of lane control.
And here, we do always want to check in. You talk a little bit about the printing money of bottom lane and everybody kind of focusing on getting extra money for those Ardent sensors. But even though the Kog'Maw does have that Targons and they're getting those extra executions over to the Janna, Wolf only went with the quintessences for gold generation, whereas Smoothie went for both seals and quintessences. So they have a little bit more, but mid lane's gonna have some action.
Moving in, flash forward. Faker does what he can with the petrifying gaze, but it might not be enough. Heal coming through. Baker needs to make his way out. Out comes the Rek'Sai. The flashback. Contract's now in trouble. Faker pushing for a little bit more. Is he gonna get the first blood here? That's it from Faker.
Super clean outplay there. You wait until the Rek'Sai shows for the ultimate as he's coming forward, as she is coming forward, then you flash, you can dodge the damage. Faker never scared for his life there. Turns it around, gets the kill, and the collapse from SKT to punish Jensen as well. Huge, huge opening here.
Yeah, exactly. Getting 2 kills for the price of just trying to kill Faker, and he doesn't even die. The summoners are gone, so Cloud9 could come back to the middle lane if they want to try and again, but how much they lost for just the one play is very substantial.
And that's double buffs on the Jarvan, double buffs on the Cassio, and it's not like Jensen and Contracts kept their flash either. That's a tough ask, and we can see the play one more time.
And it's super forced from Cloud9 as well. The ultimate was fine from Faker, but this decision to dive, the timing of the flash, all incredible, and then Contracts with nowhere to go. At the same time, Jarvan going towards the middle lane. They'll make the play, and there's no ulting out for that Rise.
Yeah, that timing did take people a little while to get used to, but after you get it off a couple times, just wait till you see the whites of his eyes, dodge it out. Faker never scared. Cool, calm, and collected again as Cloud9 come for him in the mid lane. Now, though, this does change the face of the game a little bit. We'll see where these extra wards are going to go. Now Faker's going to ramp up very quickly as well on this Cassiopeia, and we'll see if SKT can actually open up some more of the map.
Yeah, and one of those moments where having the Boots of Lucidity may come back to haunt Jensen just a little bit more, delaying that Rod of Ages and dying immediately after. Bad omens.
And it looks like Faker not going to opt for the Abyssal Mask, the AP nerf on Twin Fang, maybe forcing him for a more aggressive itemization with the Rod of Ages himself.
All the things that went into that little play too, the aftermath, the wards left behind in Cloud9's jungle. Saw Contracts come over to the bottom side, and he was able to clear out one of the control wards, but Faker still has another one in that brush.
It's repairing the damage though ultimately in the end, and that does get Kog'Maw closer to his 1-item spike. And granted, Sneaky will be trying to scale himself. You're looking at the item build from Bang and saying perhaps the 1-item spike is just that little bit stronger for him. There's less RNG involved, of course, with it.
Gwynsu's plus the Ardent Sensor, also quite terrifying. Not exactly where C9 want to be if it comes to fighting in a 2v2 or 3v3 scenario, but the gold lead definitely not insurmountable on the side of Cloud9 yet. 1K down, slightly north of that, and SKT will see what they can do to keep this going, to extend this. Pressure a little bit on Cloud9 to find a way back to stop the snowball from going any further.
And just look at the amount of deep vision. This punish from SKT is still taking effects. Both sides of Cloud9's jungle have deep wards from SKT in them. So they see this swap coming out from Cloud9. They see the move already before Cloud9 are showing past the halfway point. Huni shouldn't be surprised here. It does take a little bit of damage, but reinforcements are already on the way. Wolf and Bang headed up there with the Janna Kog'Maw. Should be able to arrive in time.
Yeah, the damage is never going to really mean a kill here onto Huni. He'll survive and be perfectly fine. Cloud9, they've actively chosen 2-lane swap, and that's away from a Mountain Drake as well, which is something that SKT could just waltz on over and take. Faker is Cassiopeia, so he'll do it very quickly. And J4's adequate enough as well with his early AD and early strength to take down the camp. And that's Cloud9 reacting almost in a negative way because it feels like they have to. They have to open the map up in some way.
Forced to respond by SKT. Play not going to get them much for now as the bot lane swaps to the top side, but you bring up the Mountain Drake, you bring up Cassio taking it easily now, and if she takes it easily now, Rusty, that's what you mean she's going to take a Baron, rather, easily later. Could be something important to look at, but itemization starts to complete, and we can see in the end it is the Rod of Ages for Faker.
Yeah, happy to get that one at 13 minutes. for himself as he returns to lane, though. Impact is setting up to get
No
the
stop.
punishment down.
The backside, Depth Charge still able to flash forward, looking for the auto, gonna get him in with the staggering blow. Peanut goes in as well. Faker has not gone down yet, but he will drop. Peanut not able to get one back, but still a 1-for-1.
Yeah, just the 1-for-1 in the end. Faker does die, but Cloud9 throwing everything and the kitchen sink at him just to secure the 1 kill. It's always that at what cost point, but really this time, Contract dies, yes, but he didn't flash out. He knew he was dead. They tried to minimize the damages.
Yeah, I think really the main thing they lose is a few minions there on the bottom side for Impact. Sneaky goes fairly effectively on Bang.
Ardent Sensor, though, starting to turn the fight. He knows it. Sneaky gonna get out of that one with the Buster shot. Good ult comes in from Wolf as well.
Yeah, and accidentally times that super well to knock him out of the healing from Janna. Of course, unfortunately, Janna with Ardent Sensor will still get him close to full with just a few ticks of the Monsoon.
Yeah, let's talk about the Ardent Sensors for a while. A little bit more in depth than just everyone complaining about the item, right? Some of the things that make it so powerful are that you get this flat health back upon auto-attacking anything. It's not even just auto-attacking champions. It's auto-attacking anything. So you talk about the health regain afterwards, both AD carries right back up to full. It works on minions, just put the shield on them, and everybody's gonna heal back up. In addition to that, the item itself already extremely gold efficient, even without that passive. So that's why the game has really come to revolve around this item and around people kind of rushing towards the champions that can use that item effectively.
And we've started to notice people innovating as well, not going towards any kind of lifesteal, even just going towards fervor of battle as their keystone mastery, knowing that the healing does make the difference. And speaking of bottom lane,
Bang, just starting to crush this laning phase. Doesn't even have his first item completed. But a lot of strength from the Janna, the extra AD story, making a huge difference in this laning phase.
this feels weird, of course. Huni as Maokai getting first Turret Blood solo, but that's what the bottom lane has set up earlier. Against a Tristana and a Lulu, Cog Janna managed to get the structures that close.
He'll get hooked, not gonna get knocked up. Nice flash out, buffering the animation on the ultimate. Trying to make it to safety, but Contracts can still look for a little bit more. Does have the knock up the flash forward. The depth charge will connect. Huni set to fall, but is healing up as much as he can. Cloud9, though, finally gonna get one on their own.
So they've been looking for a lot of these kills on the solo laners, and Contracts going aggressively for them. They do finally get one here, but as you said, it feels like a little bit trying to make up lost ground here for Cloud9. Let's see what they can actually do with it, though. Troll Ward does go down. Contracts may find himself alone if Impact finishes that recall.
Cassio roaming up as well. Miasma would stop any kind of flash over the wall. Contracts has to run for his life. A solid sidestep, but here comes Faker. He needs to get out of there.
Contracts is going to be very difficult for him to get out.
There's the Twin Fang, and down he goes. Faker going to grab that one.
As we said, you know, Impact was recalling right there, channeling it, and Contracts goes very aggressive. As soon as he sees Peanut, the recall is completed, and they don't have enough intelligence or enough vision to be able to call that Faker as well is down there. So another kill over for SKT.
And usually when you don't have enough vision, your answer to that is no. Let's just no bounce. But the way that he went as well, Contract now bottlenecks himself into this spot that he can't afford to stay at. He will get chased down in the end eventually with no way out. Compliments of course, using that tunnel. The correct answer here from Contracts was to not take the Krugs at all, but he still took the greedy play, took the risky play, and then went the wrong direction as the way out.
And you have to respect it, because you know he's desperate to find advantage. He's desperate to find a small edge, but SKT has been there so consistently to punish Cloud9 anytime they overstep, and now it's even on things as small as taking an extra Krug game.
Faker definitely getting some good money off of the enemy jungler. That makes things even more difficult. Jensen, he does have the later completion on the Rod of Ages, but he's trying to kind of minimize the deficit there.
And let's take a moment to set expectations as we move further into the game. We talk a lot about front-to-back team fighting. We talk a lot about how both of these teams scale up really well. Now, SKT have an edge, but how much does that mean? We're going to have to hold that thought, because in goes Peanut. Sneaky trying to make his way out. Well-timed Buster shot to get him out to safety.
Yeah, good execution from a lane that is currently fairly weak. Of course, the 2v2s have an extensive amount of gold.
In goes the hook. Faker going to land the double. He's going to get knocked up. Staggering blow brings him in. Trying to 1v1 Jensen. Faker, can he turn this one back? Jensen's running for his life. He might just get clapped. He's bringing himself out to safety. Faker going to run. He will get taken down. Jensen gets the kill.
He threw a Q as he ulted away.
A good trigonometry there from Jensen. And he's able to throw up his flare afterwards as well. But SKT were very close to turning that one around. Now Impact does find Huni, the member that was not in the mid lane skirmish there for SKT. Still going to be able to get back to the minions, though, no problem.
Still 2 tanks fighting, still not a lot going to happen, but Peanut trying to zone away Sneaky and the rest of the squad as Bang looks to take down the tower. A little bit extra tanky, courtesy of that Target's Brace. Not afraid to tank the tower to dish out a little more damage onto Sneaky. Bang playing fearlessly this game.
Both these lanes need to recall and spend all of the money that they currently have. 2,600 apiece between the AD carries is more than enough for their first item spikes, and that has delayed perhaps a lot of strength from Cloud9. It is delaying things from SKT also on the flip side, but they're taking extra advantages during this stalemate.
The turrets are definitely becoming a problem here for Cloud9. Already early in the game, we talked about how SKT were taking those openings to put deep wards down, but now the Cloud9 territory more open for them. Here's another look at the skirmish in mid lane. If it was just the 2 versus 2 there, Jensen did get out at the end and throws that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But C9 also had the earlier support as they had 3 members joining. Contracts as well for a little bit of extra support.
That is one of the cleanest things that I've seen from a Rise ulting away. Not something you expect to see until a random white bubble just comes flying across.
Fade away, baby. Power Rangers finish. Don't even look at them if they explode. Of course, for Jensen, hasn't found a ton of advantages this game. It was an aggressive 2v2 play in the mid lane that cost them so much, but you can see SKT, this is going to be a hard opponent for them to crack. 17-0 with a 2K lead at 20, and we're about 3 seconds away. They're looking to make it 18.
And it's over 2K. Oh no.
Grim path. Once again though, the advantage not quite crushing. 2.5K, definitely a significant lead. But until someone takes a Baron, game not decided. However, Cloud9 got to clean it up. They can't afford to keep losing members.
Did a sapling just take that blue buff away? I think it did.
Let's find out.
Well, he doesn't have it.
Well, Jensen does not have it.
Rek'Sai doesn't have it.
Huni does indeed have the move up there for yourself.
We're over here playing League of Legends. Huni's playing 4D chess with his saplings. And SKT are going to grab yet another tower to extend their gold lead. 2K may not have been crushing, gentlemen, but 4K looks to be the case. Now waiting for SKT to slip up, to find an edge, to find an opening. But Bang continues to pressure forward. They finished those early items. The Kog'Maw just keeps getting stronger.
Also, with this gold lead and this territory lead that SKT have, Cassiopeia can mosey on down to this Cloud Drake very easily and take up another objective for themselves. So SKT, complete dragon control. They've got the 3 turret advantage right now and the extra gold to work with. So all things are going according to plan here for the defending champs.
Faker once again trying to dodge out on a gank. Jensen pushing forward. Faker with no mana should be a good sign for Cloud9, but Wolf is there to back him up to protect the mid laner on the side of SKT. Now it looks like they're looking for the fight. We've got the CC to stop that from happening. No Zhonya's to get out to safety. Jensen's in trouble. In comes Bang on the backside, but Faker gonna grab the kill. Smoothie now running for his life. The twisted advance. The polymorph not enough. Another one taken down in favor of SKT.
Really good target selection from Huni to go for the Rise, interrupt all 3 people's escapes, as Sneaky will do his best to trade. The question is, what will SKT take in response? Sneaky may die, the Baron may die.
Well, teleport's coming in for C9, so it looks like Impact at least wants to get in the area.
Moment of truth. Baron dropping lower, 6K health, and quickly fading. But Faker with no mana in the bag, contracts. Could make it over the wall, but has to watch the miasma. They have to be careful. It's a slow, grindy Baron coming in for SKT.
A lot of damage there, dished out by Bang over the wall.
Coming down, Peanut looking to get out of the pit. Bang
They've
still
stopped hitting the Baron.
1K dropping, so close to that smite range. Faker doing what he can to zone. Can they steal it back? No, but Contract still goes over the wall. Tries to go underground, tries to come back up, but it is not enough. SKT gets the Baron. They're gonna grab a few kills as well. Sneaky trying to 1v1 on the wall. Gets tagged mid-air, no chance to escape. SKT dominates.
Yeah, not a chance in the world for Cloud9. As far as clean games go, SKT is showing Cloud9 how to play one as well. Just everywhere on the map, every little detail is starting to go in their favor. All of the pressure that they have placed onto Faker, he's able to withstand, withhold, and now come back perfectly fine for it. And now just work with his team. There's a Cassiopeia that's got a 2-item Cog'Maw, who is going to be incredibly powerful with a Janna protecting him. Simple job, and maybe Cloud9 chose the wrong lane.
Yeah, you talk about the 2-item Kog'Maw, now it's the 2-item Janna. She has the redemption completed far ahead, of Cloud9. Here goes the aftermath here, which was just kind of scattered, and It just looks so rough there for C9. Sneaky dies as he jumps away. Another auto was already in the air from Bang. They had the disjointed attempt there as they do follow Contracts in, who's going for the steal, which was a little bit late there. And it kind of feels like this whole game is SKT, the big brother, holding the little brother at arm's length as they try and get a swing in.
They're just swinging everywhere.
But all of them are missing. And here come SKT, Baroned up, Ardent censored up, and Bang gonna melt this turret.
Yeah, and that Kog'Maw range definitely keeping them at arm's reach. Baron buff making it easy as they clean up these tier 2s. Need to break the base. Can't be too hard for him at this point in the game. 8K gold lead, 2 dragons, 2 tower advantage, 9 kills to 3. Definitely that clean game we talked about.
And of course, going towards the wit's end while we look at Bang and his item builds, trying to help the magic damage as Huni.
Realm Orb comes in. Huni may be trading his life, but what are they going to get back on the side of SKT? Huni running, Huni trying to stay alive, but it's not going to be enough. Buys a bit of time.
Cloud9's mission this game is teach Huni. That'll teach you to leave NA. They get a couple kills on the top laner for pretty much the whole game, but SKT are going to take the entire base almost.
But they got Huni.
They got him.
Not the deal.
It's their way of saying we miss you, dude.
Hey man, it's like a big group hug.
Yep.
Well, I think Huni's still happy with the end result there as his team grabs an inhibitor, makes it easy, and now Faker continuously pressuring Cloud9, making sure they're not comfortable to enter the jungle.
Jensen is Tom Cruising right now.
Mission impossible.
He just noped out of the Mission Impossible. Letter exploded, and he's not going to take the mission.
Mission not possible.
Now SKT, this is the systematic closeout we expect from Korean teams. Will they slip up? Will they give Cloud9 an opportunity? With a 10K gold lead, it's going to be pretty hard for them to do that. Just slowly working their way through these towers.
And just with how methodically SKT are playing this, the processes that they're going through right now, just pushing mid lane, knowing that Cloud9 are making the desperate plays, they don't need to change it. Going from mid lane straight to bottom lane. Their top wave is pushing already. That's about a minute away from crashing onto the next turret. If they want, recall, walk back up there. All of these possibilities are there for SKT. Even the Mountain Drake in 1 minute and 30 seconds, when you look at Cloud9's vision control, they can't leave their base.
Tag tries to go in, hooks onto a minion, going to take a lot of damage back, but Huni now coming in. He wants to hug NA too, man. Paladin to make him out to safety as Jensen finds freedom there in the end, but SKT is going to use that as a chance to take their second inhibitor. Massive minion wave backs them up, but no Baron buff. Baron buff on Peanut, making it even easier. Now leaping in, Faker trying to drill out as much damage as possible. Twin Bang hitting home. Bang is going to get hooked up, though. That could be a turning point. Locked in, Sneaky trying to fire back. Wolf is the source of the disengage. Peanut goes very far, but Contracts gets pulled back to the team. He's going to grab one, but it'll be traded at his life. Sneaky now back off into the base. SKT pushing in for the win here. It is a last desperate, dirty stand for the North American Hope. Now getting knocked up. Faker still unrelenting in his pressure as he rips through Sneaky. Cloud9 getting cut through, getting cut down, and it's all expected here as SKT find the clean closeout and yet another win for Korea.
Cool, calm, and collected the entire game there for SKT. Some aggression for Cloud9. They made attempts there with Contracts on the Rek'Sai early on, but the majority of them were turned right around in their faces.
Yeah, you saw a semblance of some ideas here from Cloud9, some good strategies. The early pathing of Contracts is something that is to be admired, that they're able to give themselves level advantages. All of these things are nice to have for them, but ultimately SKT just kept trucking on, and they won their laning phase in the 2v2. Cloud9 have to swap away, but at that point, it already felt like SKT had too much control of Summoner's Rift, and that was really early in the game to have that much control.
Yeah, a terrifying prospect. Crowd welcoming SKT to Wuhan on the back of that first win, and gotta say, there's few small fumbles in the early game for Cloud9, cost them so much. The 2v2 mid, the gank top when Impact had no mana to follow up. It was definitely a difficult path for C9, and have to wonder how they're going to adjust, how they're going to come back stronger looking ahead.
I mean, you can look at that game and just say the 2v2 was the biggest thing that ultimately lost you so much control of the Rift. If you're going to focus Faker and you're going to trade ultimately with Faker, well, then that's not really acceptable. What if he's going to live and he's going to be able to just kill you guys? That's even worse. Like, what's happening here for Cloud9? But it's not going to be too bad for them. You know, you can look at it and just say, that was it.
It did feel like Faker knew the entire time, kind of like a bullfighter. It's like, yes, come ult me, Rek'Sai, come through, and flashing away just to the side.
Bullfighter indeed. Well, Cloud9 get dominated by SKT as SKT continue to reign supreme. Let's head over to the analyst desk for a closer look.
Thank you very much, Dracos. Can you get a more quintessentially SKT game than that? Faker absorbing all of the pressure mid. Sure, he dies once or twice, but what he gets in return for those deaths, I mean, it's almost immeasurable.
And the scary thing is that it was those old combinations of parts that have always existed for SKT coming together in a way that we really haven't seen from them that commonly in the summer season. Faker repelling pressure, the duo lane doing very well, and Bang being one of the primary carries. It was vintage SKT, and that's scary for their first game at Worlds because they're clearly back and forth.
And one of the big things to me this game was actually the bot lane and even just the itemization and the setups in the early game. SKT went basically as greedy as you can, and we've been kind of seeing people trying to one-up each other with how greedy can you get. Not only did they start Relic Shield, Coin, they both started refillable, so they're not even going for biscuits or anything like that. They're trying to get their most bang for the buck, and this is a Janna Kog'Maw lane who then was winning lane against a 2v2, and there were some things to me that were also kind of confusing about Smoothie's setup because he's going gold quints, he's going gold seals, that makes sense. But then why are you going in for Thunderlords? Why are you kind of playing around this style? To me, this is like two different things. When you go for Thunderlords, you're looking to bully lane, you're looking to abuse them. When you're going all gold generation, you're looking to sit back and scale and play a passive lane. So to me, this is kind of, you know, two things that are butting heads and doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I'd rather see someone go Thunderlords and go Spell Thieves, go AP in lane, try to win lane hard, or don't bother with it at all. Just go Wind Speakers.
A bit of a disconnect there, yeah, if you will. But of course, we teed this entire game up as the featured matchup of the mid lane, the clappening part 2, and C9 did exactly what we expected, put all of their focus into the mid lane and trying to get Jensen ahead. Of course, that didn't happen. Acer Predator replay here. Faker coming up big with the turn on these initial games.
And in hindsight and looking at these plays, which they are sick, you're like, why would C9 ever do this? Why would you ever steamroll into Faker head first into a meat grinder? But we saw this exact same matchup for RNG. They had the Ryze, they had the Rek'Sai, and they made the exact same choices. So I totally understand the logic from Cloud9. I think it was the right play to make with the composition that they had built. Unfortunately, then it's an execution thing.
And unfortunately, you're playing against Faker, the greatest player of all time.
And it wasn't just Faker, because I think Peanut as well was really, you and I were talking about this just before we rolled the end of the game. Peanut was there and understood, just like it felt like RNG got the advantage, Ryze, Rek'Sai, gank mid. SKT got the late mail. They probably didn't need to watch the match earlier to know that that was going to be the game plan coming through from Cloud9. So honestly, we just saw Peanut go from mid to top, stay away from the duo lane. It was Janna Kog'Maw, it was farming, and he was always there for the counter gank or even to make the big tempo play.
Exactly. It was setting up that safety net. The fact that Faker wasn't even getting a successful gank until he had his ultimate available shows how much work Peanut was doing in very conservative defensive pathing to set up these safety zones for Faker.
I want to get some clarity, though, on what your point was about C9, you know, and their game plan, right? You saying that you do think that this was the right idea, but is it, in essence, if you can't execute on it and actually pick up a victory?
If you just block out the nameplates, like if you just play that with nameplates turned off, you're like, yeah, that's the right idea. It's Ryze and it's Rek'Sai. You've got the hard CC. You just throw it mid repeatedly. It's against a Cassiopeia. He took heal and flash instead of having the cleanse available. So you look at that as like a free target. But then you reveal the names and it's Jensen and Fake. You're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and then, of course, the last thing I want to talk about is the Nautilus picked up from Impact. Last pick Nautilus, didn't see it come to fruition in terms of being able to lock down any of those carries particularly well in the big team fights. And to some degree, it raises questions around the depth of Impact's champion pool and maybe the prioritization of champions like as a whole from Cloud9 and not getting him a very impactful matchup.
I mean, my read was he was just trying to recreate what the Ryze lane is in the top lane, because guess what? Nautilus from level 6 onwards can do a Ryze impression, targeted engage, try to get the Warrior Rek'Sai going, but it felt like it was a reach, I think was there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't really like the Nautilus pick, but also when you're going into Cassio and Kog'Maw, two people with pretty low mobility, targeted CC, can, if you're getting ahead, then you have the Rek'Sai diving in, the Tristana diving in, right?
Right, so it relies on those early kills going over to Cloud9. SKT, they start their hunt for the trophy with a win. Let's go ahead and send it over to Shox, who's ready with their top laner.
Thank you very much, guys. Indeed, ready with Huni. And, well, you guys were talking a lot about the Nautilus. You guys didn't really like it, but I'd love to ask the man himself who played versus it. What did you think of the Nautilus pick in the C9 composition?
I didn't expect the Nautilus pick because I actually think that the Nautilus get a bit buff, but it's not super big. So I actually practiced a bit, but I assumed that it's not good champion. That's why I didn't play, and I didn't expect it. And there was a bit like I was expecting him to play like something Shan or like Trundle. It's like usual pick because that pick is really like for impact, like it's really tanky. But a bit is bad for team fight. But it was really good for laning phase. But Nolas was kind of, I don't think it was not good lane or not good team fight too. So well, I think it's not good pick. Yeah.
Not so good for the rest of the game. Very good for you guys. Great win. When I talked to you last at MSI, you were super confident. In the first interview, you said, of course we're going to win. Now you had a bit of an up and down summer split. Untara played a lot of games. So how is Uni feeling right now?
For now, I need to focus more than before because this is bigger league and I'm not confident anymore because we didn't win the summer final. So from there, because when I was in MSI, we actually won the spring split really easily. But for summer split, it was kind of a bit hard time. So for this time, we need to focus actually training and even back anything like preparing, like practice. So for now, but we still have confidence. But I think not as much as MSI. I think. Because also the World Championship, there's a lot of like LCK team, like a lot of LPL team. Like there's so many teams that actually we haven't met, so that's gonna be a problem, yeah.
It's going to be rough. Obviously, Longzhou did win the split, and a lot of people are looking at that team. You mentioned also the LPL teams. Are those the two regions of teams that you're looking at for people that you might meet down the line in the quarterfinals, semifinals, possibly the finals, or do the other regions have a chance at all, Huni?
Actually, for this year too, that there's might be like high likely LCK teams are gonna be a lot of chance that actual like quarterfinal, also semifinal, also finals. So I think there's a lot of chance that the LCK versus LCK a lot. So I assume that this year will be for LCK too, I think.
Any love for one of the NA or EULCS teams? Is there any team that you have a bit of faith in?
I don't know, but yeah. I mean, it would be great. Like the Immortals and Fnatic, they actually went here. I mean, came here to play World Championship. I really appreciated them because it's my EX team. So I hope they will do well.
Well, we will see if that happens. Turning it back on you guys, and in the group, you're up versus EDG. You now beat C9. Also, AHQ is in there. So how do you think this group will play out? Will you guys get first no matter what, and then who will be the second team? Or
for sure, we will be first place. That's our goal, first of all. And also, we are actually confident that our group is not that hard to make a first place. But I assume that EDG will be strongest, like except us. Yeah. So we should focus on more like against when we against the EDG, and AHQ will be also. We don't know what they're going to do. AHQ is really like, it's really sometimes really strong too. So I'm really excited to play.
Well, we'll see. You said you were not that confident in your English, but it was fantastic. It's always lovely talking to you. Thank you very much, Huni. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll know some more about EDG and AHQ because they are our last game of the day. Don't go anywhere.
We are good in the